All right. Yo, first episode of the Real Estate Unboxed podcast.
Love it.
So hype right now. Guys, we got a super special guest. This guy has been with me for like almost my whole sub 2 journey since I got in. I've pretty much known John. Guy has a wealth of knowledge, done a ton of deals, massive deals. This is someone you want to learn from, get some gems from. This dude flies all over the country. He's a jet setter and meets amazing people everywhere. Dude, I'm so honored to have you on here as my first guest, bro. Thank you. Let's go.
Dude, thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm trying to log into the on my laptop so that I can get this. Sorry, I'm trying to log into mute this real quick.
Yeah, all good, bro. So basically what we're gonna do, guys, on the Real Estate Unboxed podcast is kind of just what it sounds like. It's like an unboxing, right? Real estate. A lot of us wonder, how do these people get into it? How do they get started? Even people who are in it, what's the secret sauce? How are these guys doing deals? How is John closing mobile home parks? Right? So that's what we're here to do, guys, is unbox the mysteries and help you guys get a clear picture of what goes into this, how people do deals from freaking experts like this guy. I didn't even talk about the flips and stuff and Airbnbs he's doing. Oh my God, John, tell us about yourself, bro. How did you
Oh,
get started?
dude, man, where to begin? So, I mean, 3 years ago, 4 years, 4 years ago, decided, you know what, I need to do some more. So a little bit of background. I had original plan for my life was to my retail store. So I own 3 UPS stores, and I ran them pretty well. And I just figured I needed something else. So what I was trying to figure out was, what can I do better? So about 4 years ago, I basically Googled like how to make money online. Like maybe 2017, 18. It's like how to make money online. And then like it was trading came up, like, and then freaking real estate came up. And I was like, oh man, I want to be a day trader. So I went down that path for a little bit. Failed miserably, lost decent chunk of change, and was kind of upset at myself. And I was just like, all right, this is not the way. This is like, and when I look back at that, I'm like, hey man, sorry, is that my camera? Sorry.
Look handsome to me, bro.
Oh, sorry. It's like flickering over here. So I did that, and I was like, man, I'm trying to commit to this. I did that for like a year, and it didn't necessarily work out the way that I did. I thought, when I look back at it now, I'm like, man, I really was too aggressive. It wasn't in the right mindset to kind of like do what I did. I was trying to like hit home runs every single straight, and I'm like, okay, this is not going to happen.
Mm.
Went back online, searched real estate. I was like, oh, real estate license. I was like, you always heard like, oh, millionaires are made from real estate, and owning real estate. And I was just like, how can I own real estate with no money? And I was like, I don't have any money. I just lost it all in the market from 2017. So I was also like, this is like anti where I need to be at. So saw it was like Memorial Day weekend in April, or Labor Day weekend.
I
Memorial Day
think,
weekend in April, right back in April, May.
yeah, I think it's in
Something
May.
like that.
I'm not
Memorial Day.
100% sure,
So
but
this is why I remember this, because it was Sean Terry's program that I saw, and it was basically, I googled him, saw his ad. He's like, oh, they can buy houses with little or more money,
Sean
sell a
Terry.
contract. Some his energy is so high. So I was just like, let's find this thing, right? So I basically signed up for his class. It was like $400, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, screw it. I'll just start reading on it and then figuring it out, right? Till this day, I don't think I finished the class. Like, to be honest, like I
Wow.
went through it. I went through like, I think 60% of it. I was like, oh, I'll figure this out.
Mm. So
Um,
you just took action. You got part of the way through it, and you're just like, I'm going ham.
yeah, it was hard. It was hard. Like, so that's how I got into real estate. I basically was like Sean Terry's program, and then I did their like mentorship, which was like their first check challenge, which was like a 90-day like fast course with Brandon Simmons out of Arizona, and he was my official first like mentor, right? And then he just saw that I was doing stuff, just failing forward with my CRMs. Uh, I have, and I'm looking at my lab right now, and Andrew's like, "Why do you have a tuxedo?" So this right here was for a friend's wedding down in Richmond. Both my this is so off topic. I'm gonna go off. Um, my wife needed a manicure pedicure. Well, we're like sitting around the hotel. Me and my friend were just like, all right, what are we gonna do? Um, let's go get a manicure pedicure, and we just did that. And then so I got the white and black dots, and then he got black and white dots, just so because it was a black tie wedding. So it was just like a little joke. And I've been scraping off the enamel for the last like week and a half right now. Anyways, so that's why if you see like this white thing, people are gonna be like, what the hell's going on? So no, so I did that for like 8 months, and I was just like, all right, I gotta figure this out. I mean, I've already spent, the standard, cold caller, dialer, CRM. I'm putting like anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000 a month into this, and it's just like slowly getting traction. I mean, you pull your list, you go to prop stream, you do your thing, right? So it took me 8 months to get my first list for first deal, and then after that first deal, it was my $27,000 on my first deal, and then $14,000 about 14 days later. I was sitting high, man. I was like 50K, like just under 50K. I'm like, yes, and so basically, I was hooked, and it's been a journey since. And then a local guy from Maryland basically reached out to me, was just, hey man, I know you do sub too, this and that. Let's squad up together. And that's how we started MHP Teams about maybe 9 months later, in like 2020. And then we've been running MHP Teams since. So that's how I got introduced to what the mobile home parks I was doing, because it was just like, it's the same thing. It just takes 90 days to close. And I'm like, well, I can do 3 deals in 90 days. Why would I wait for this? But then the checks are that much bigger. So I still do single family homes. I still do Airbnbs. We're starting a Memphis portfolio. We bought in the last, I think, even 4 days, last 2.5 weeks, we bought 4 houses. We've wholesaled 1, bought 3. I think one's closing tomorrow or next week. Yeah, just a bunch of things. So it's been a journey, and I still haven't perfected it. Like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, fine tune my CRM, fine tune my, I'm switching out a new CRM. Like, it's a lot.
Bro, I think that's what it is for all of us. It's a consistent journey of just improving. And as you hit different levels, there's different things you have to change, and things that weren't a problem before at the last level now become a problem. So
oh, yeah. Like, people say it's like, it's always hard to get to the point of 1 deal a month. Like, 1 deal a month consistency is very, very difficult to get through, because you got to start, like, building out your systems, which I'm not a systems person. I'm an idea person. Like, what I mean, I consider myself truly an executor with the visionary mindset. Like, I have ideas, but it's just like, how do I get them involved, and how do I delegate that properly so it makes sense,
mm-hmm.
So
Interesting, bro. Another quick thing that you had just mentioned to me, though, like, I really want to highlight that for people, because a lot of people who are going to be watching this are super new to real estate. But bro, you said one of the first things you did is you got a mentor. So it was Sean Terry, who's coached literally a ton of people out here. And then another thing you said is you studied part of it, but then you immediately took action, which is a gem right there. Like, learn, guys, know what you're doing, understand the business, but take that action. And then the other thing that you said is that you didn't give up for 8 months straight. You kept
oh
trying.
no, that was difficult, because again, my background is my UPS stores, so that was luckily my W-2, right? When I was first started, my cold caller, who's still with me, is now my executive assistant. She's been with me. I mean, without her, literally my real estate would be just crumbling. Like, she does all my meetings. She schedules all my. She keeps me on point. She's like, hey, you need to do this. She makes sure she does all the reminder stuff. So with me and her tag teaming, like, hey, make the calls, do this, and scheduling what I need to do, it's been a godsend. in where we are right now is basically because of all the buying that I did over the last, year. I went from 0 properties to 7 in 4 different states. It was, with private money, with, it's just with the economy the way it was, even as hot as the market was, it's just like you still got to get them live. So we just evicted our tenant in Dallas right now. So that's going to go live within the next 6 weeks. Our Arizona property is still going to go live in 6 weeks, where it's just, there's a lot. I decided to cram in, I think, 5 years worth of heartache into a year. And right now we're refinancing, Jupiter. It's just, there's a lot going on right now. The commercial property is back on the market now with the right broker. So it's like, there's a lot. I mean, there's not just one way to skin a cat, right? In real estate, I think that's what you learn that there's multiple different ways to win, and you got to do it with people. So
Heck yeah, bro. Shoot, man. I guess one question I got for you, like that journey of 8 months of no deals, still having to work at your, W-2, even though you owned it, the UPS store, and now where you're at, where you're doing more than a deal a month in multiple states, multiple different types of deals. What made like the biggest impact? Was there like a thought, an idea, a person, or like, you having better systems? What do you think was the biggest couple of impacts that helped you get there, or the things that really took you from I'm doing no deals for 8 months to now I can do deals each month? Was there what
I
couple of
think
things
it's
maybe got you?
I think a lot of it was if I had to go back, it was just sheer belief that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fail at this. It's like there's other people that are doing this right now. What am I doing wrong? What am I learning or listening? So right around that time when I started day trading, right, I was just like, okay, what am I wasting my time on? So obviously, just like any American, right, I had fantasy football, I had, sports. I was watching, I was spending hours on, like, from Saturday during football season, like from Saturday afternoon while at work, I'd be watching college games to like Monday night football. Like that, and my entire weekend shifted, right? Like it went from just watching games all day, all weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
nothing else to like, okay, now I got to start learning something. So I just basically turned the sports off, and that was it. Like that was like my biggest thing, like that I did. I was like, okay, where am I wasting time that I can make, or I can thought about making money? At this time, I have a 2 year old. I mean, you have a baby, right? I have a 2 year old, right? I only had one child. And I'm like, all right, if I don't do this right now, when as he gets older, when he gets on sports on Saturdays and Sundays, like I'm not gonna have time to like I had like a 3 year window where I was like, okay, at the first initially I thought I was gonna only have one child. So I was like, I'm gonna only have like a 3 year window where I'm gonna be able to learn all this as quickly as possible. So basically I turned off all of that and then started just reading books, reading, like listening to podcasts, watching videos, and just being like, okay, how can I do this faster? And that's where I still haven't perfected my systems. I'm not a systems guy, right? But the thing is, my biggest thing was just like, okay, if I turn this off and redirect my energy over here. I mean, I used to watch a lot of sports. Like I could tell you from 20. So I'm a big Ravens fan, obviously being from Maryland, right? And I
Well,
can tell
Raven,
you, like, from the time that Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl to like, until like the next 8 years, like watching every game, I can like highlights, clips. I were like it was like during the Ray Rice era. Like I watched all of that, right? And so be it. I didn't have anything else, you know what I mean? And until I had real estate. So now when you're saying, hey, what like shifted is like it's just what I watched online.
what you put in
Now I
your brain?
watch motivational stuff. Now I watch real estate clips. I listen to podcasts. I listen to, I'm not a big podcaster in regards to like I want to go out and look for a bunch of things. But if people turn me on to certain things, I'll listen to like a podcast here and there. It's my more of a YouTube person. Like I'll watch a video and go, okay, this makes sense. And I'll go find something else on YouTube that's kind of related to that content. But then most of the stuff that I'm watching is like inspirational stuff. Like I can do better. I can do better. I can do better. And that's kind of been drilled into my mind in the last 3-4 years. It's been hard. like I'm still, again, I'm still not perfect. I mean, this past year, I had, great ideas, great thought process. Execution
Hmm.
on certain things wasn't good. Um, but right now, in regards to like my baseline, right now, I have, 3 Airbnbs up and running with my partners, and we bought 2 additional rentals, a student housing rental from Mamadou, actually. So it's like,
Nice.
that's going to be up and running within the next, because one of them is running and the other one is not, because it needed a little bit of work. But you know, it's been a journey. I'm really happy
Hell
about
yeah.
it though. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's super important. Like a lot of people focus on the end goal, and then when they get there, it's not. But when you focus on the journey and getting better, that's
Absolutely.
really exciting. And bro, there was a couple more gems you dropped in there. Like you really cut out all your distractions for one. Like that's huge.
Yeah,
With
like
social
2 years.
media.
For two
Yeah,
years,
bro.
I mean,
That's
now I watch a little bit of football. I mean, when the Ravens play, and I don't even keep up with like the stats and who's playing or where things
mm,
are. Like, but it's just like that took up a lot of time, and I didn't real. I mean, I knew, because I was like, where do I like sit on my ass all the time? And it was like at 4:30, 5 o'clock, watching college games all the way through Sunday night, and I'm like,
uh,
I got to do something better.
I
You
gotta
know,
stop that. Yeah. No, and I think another thing that added to that, bro, is like you were kind of hinting at this, but you were surrounding yourself with the right people, like the right people in your business to partner up with, the right VA that allowed you to still go to your W-2 and still
yeah.
control things for you. And that stuff is hard to find, man. Like, honestly, I don't know about you, how many VAs you had to go through to find that, but honestly, sometimes it takes 20 VAs to find a good one.
I'm I was very fortunate. Christine's with me. Shout out to Christine, if you watch this. You know how much you mean to me, and what you've done for my company. So she's been my first, and like I told her from the beginning, I was like, look, I'm looking for someone that can run this. And I let out the dream, right? I was like, hey, this is what I'm trying to get to, but this is step one. I need you to understand all of this. And she's just been plugging along. And I mean, right now she manages my team and like my day to day and all my meetings, but at the same time, she still does some of my higher level follow ups. I mean, because of that, I've been able to do what I'm able to do. I'm able to travel, and she still manages my meetings. Like, she still sends me the reports. Like, it's like, again, it's not like fancy reports. Just like, hey, this is what's going on with the team. This is what's going on here. Like, let's do this. Like, that
Yeah.
was it. But then even with that little data, I can go, okay, cool. These are the moves I'm going to make. This is what my trip is going to be like. It's very helpful, and I've been very, very blessed with the team that I have right now. Even currently, I have 6 VAs on the mobile part team, 2 data girls, 2 cold callers, and I have a marketing person that's still doing all my marketing, like kind of like not marketing, outbound marketing, got my digital marketing stuff. So she went from my cold caller to, like, so I feel like I interview people well, and I'm just like, hey, these are the expectations I've set with you. Like, if you can't do it, tell me now, right?
Right.
And usually the people that have been working for me right now, I'm usually good enough team builder per se, you know. So I feel like that's one of my biggest. Like, I can manage people in general. So
Nah, bro, that's a super important skill, even for like your own people on your same level or above you, like managing those relationships properly. Um, dude, having a good team is like it does so much for you. Like it literally changes everything, man.
oh,
What
absolutely.
are what are some of the ways that you are able to pick out good people to work with or good people that help you expand your business like that?
I try to, in my process, I try to just be as open as possible. And look, this is like, like, I haven't hired anybody in a really long time, because I'm just trying to stay as lean as possible right now, just because of the inconsistencies of just where we are.
Yeah,
So I haven't had to circle through a bunch, right? I'm like, hey, these are the expectations. This is your position. This is where the company is right now. Okay, do you want to join and grow with us? That's basically my line. If you don't want to grow with us and you're expecting something like just mundane, because there's going to be a lot of inconsistencies. Just building this, like, because everyone gives you a map, right? But they don't give you the keys, right? They're like, this is wholesaling. right? But then they don't give you like the little, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you got 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 to do this. They go find a contract, find a distressed seller, sell it to a distressed seller, and sell it to a buyer, and that's it. Right?
Yeah, man.
They don't
Dude.
tell you, hey, this is the CRM to use. This is how you do this. They don't get down to the nitty gritty, and it's funny because everyone's version is slightly different. Even the top wholesalers, like in the country, all their systems are designed similar to this wholesaler running that system, and that's it.
Yeah, bro. It's a lot of it is pretty straightforward. At the end of the day, our business comes down to sales and marketing. Like for wholesaling specifically, it's sales and it's marketing, bro. Yo, quick question. For someone who wanted to do like their first mobile home deal or buy a property with no money, either one of those, what's the first thing you would tell them to go out and do?
So, I mean, in real estate, there's so many different ways to start, right?
Mhm.
Before just trying to jump into wholesaling mobile home parks, I would say learn how to just wholesale in general. Because once you start wholesaling, then you start understanding the language, understanding the lingo, understanding like how to present yourself. Because a lot of these commercial deals, the only difference is the timeline and what the ask is, right? So distressed properties, right? Let's break it down to two situations: your standard single family distressed property, and then your standard mobile home park distressed property. The ask is a little different. You got your roof, your septic, your like if there's any like foundation issues, like is there any liens and titles and stuff like that? Stuff, what is it? Title issues, right? I mean, you and me do it in Baltimore. We know that everything can be fine, standing dandy, but then all of a sudden there's like a $300,000 water bill that you're just like, what is going on?
How
Where
did
is
this
this
even
How
happen?
does it have $300,000 of water bills, like fines, like we've all gone through that, right? It's like,
Yeah. Like I'm about to make $20,000.
yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden there's a $70,000 water bill. You're like, wah wah wah. Like,
Right.
you have to get that. You have to get that house like for 10K for you to make even 6K. Like it's just
They have to pay me.
exactly, yeah. You know. Um. So the biggest transition was, so what people don't realize is the first year when we started MHP teams, right? We were like, okay, where do we not want to fuck up the data? Oh, am I allowed to curse there?
Bro.
Bleep it. Bleep it later. Like what I'm able to what do you call, what the transition was to understand the asset class, right? The asset class was now that I understand the single family homes, what are the biggest questions that come on the mobile home park side? So mobile home parks specifically, you have tenant owned, park owned, you have long-term tenants, you have short-term tenants, you got monthly tenants. So that's like including RV parks, right? Um, you got the roads, you got the sewer system, if it's city water or if it's well or septic. There's a couple things that you have to, so let's break it down like this way. The best, like the cream of the crop is city water, city sewer, right? Then you have city water septic, then you have well water sewer, but that's rare because the when you have well, then typically you have what is it? A septic tank as well. And then if you have well plus a lagoon. So those are your five major infrastructure categories. Hold on a second, I got a question on my Dylan, come onto the YouTube. Show Olu some love. I have 3 people on there that so like he can ask that question. Sorry.
Oh,
Go to
bro, yeah.
Olu. How do you say your last name?
Lanioni.
Exactly, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Lanioni. Come onto his YouTube channel and ask that question. That way he can ask it. But I'll get to it in a second. So infrastructure wise is a little different, right? Because most of the times when you're dealing with a single family home, whether it's in the city or what do you call it, city or in the rural, kind of like in the suburbs, you're dealing with city water and city sewer. Sometimes you're dealing with city water with septic, and sometimes you're dealing with So my house right now in Colombia, it's well water and a septic. So that's technically on a mobile home side, the worst of the worst. But we have connections available. It's also cost like $19,000 to connect. I don't know why, but that's the quote that I got. I'm like, no, I like I like the taste of my well water. I'm not gonna pay you Howard County for my for water. But so for mobile home parks, you got to figure out, that's kind of like the order of what most people look for. They want tenant-owned parks, tenant-owned homes. City water, city sewer is like the A plus, like parks that are close to the city, that has driving distance, that has, Olo's last name is, oh no, his YouTube channel is OLU. Last name is LANIYONU. He's live on YouTube right now. So, once you figure that out, then you figure out how the operation works. So mobile home parks specifically, what people don't realize is you're buying a business, right? You're buying a cash flowing asset. And then that cash flowing asset is based off a cap rate on purchase, right? So what do you want your return to be? And with mobile home parks, it's very depending on location, it's anywhere between 4.5, 5 cap to like 11, 12 cap, depending on the size, and it's a huge range. But typically right now,
I was gonna say, I got a guy who sent me 121 at like a 9 cap in Florida. I'm gonna have to talk to you about that after this meeting, bro.
Yes, absolutely. If you wait a second, what? 120 units for 9 cap?
That's what he says, but he hasn't sent me the T12 yet and the other financials.
So something that large typically trades between a 6 and a 7 cap. It's ideal to trade with the 6 and a 7 cap. If it's going in 9 cap, it depends on the occupancy rate. So I'll go into that in a little bit next. But so right now we talked about the condition for what's going on right in the beginning, right? You look at, is it tenant owned? Is it park owned? Tenant owned, if you look at it this way, is tenant, between the difference between tenant owned and park owned. The park owned houses are basically like a condo or apartments, right? You maintain the infrastructure, you maintain the houses, and you maintain everything, right? Tenant owned are kind of like condos, like you maintain the water, or like the lines, the roads, the grass, like the apartment building, but drywall to drywall, the unit of the condo owner is the one that runs. Like if they want to paint their walls purple, go ahead. Like you don't have any control of that. But an apartment, you can do that, but you'll get a fine, right? Like you can't just paint your apartment purple and not lose your security deposit, right? Like they're gonna be like, you're nuts. That's kind of so that your expenses for park-owned properties are much, much higher. Well, the funny thing is, I've seen park-owned properties, they're like expenses are 20%. I'm like, no way. How old is that house, right? Or the trailer? And then once that trailer is a certain age, like 1979, they're not even insurable anymore, right? No one's gonna put a a mortgage on a house on a trailer that's older than 1979.
Nah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the hierarchy of how you would break it down. And then obviously like location, right? Unit count, occupation, like occupancy, like there's a bunch of things that we look at, and then who's managing, right? So you and me have, over the last 2 years, you've thrown me a couple things of like, smaller parks under 25 units. And I'm like, this is the reason why it's difficult. This is the reason why it's not difficult. This is going to be for XYZ. Like I've never held back on why I would or would not buy this park. And I've told you, like, if you're trying to sell it, get it under for this price, right? And then sell it for X, right? This is the ideal.
Pause you there real quick, bro, because I just want to highlight what you said. Like, guys, John mentioned this earlier about going to other people and working with other people that know what they're doing. When I run into a mobile home park, guys, I don't deal with it on my own. I know what John needs to get a deal done. So literally, guys, anyone you're squatting up with, get the information and take it to an expert that you can squat up with. If you have a mobile home park or RV park, don't try to take it down yourself. Hit up John, right? His Instagram is at John Lim Buys Houses. Contact people who are experts so that you can get stuff done. Sorry to cut you off, bro. I just had to highlight.
Good.
Like, even I take stuff to this guy. I take stuff to anyone when I don't know what I'm doing. So Fire. Sorry, bro. Keep going.
It's not, no, it's exactly right. It's who, not how, right? Like you can go back and study all your stuff. And you and me have had private conversation about hey, I'm trying to do XYZ. I'm like, but Oli, like you're building a team right now. You're gonna get distracted. Like I wish I had that team, and I haven't built that team. I should have taken some of my own advice. Like you and Daryl both like have built out a solid acquisition company, right? You guys are building that consistency. You guys are doing that with So I was like, look, don't even worry about that right now. Like I'm still gonna be able to bring you into the deal. I'll tell you what we need to do it, and then we can just keep going from it. you
Mm-hmm.
know so it's like I can underwrite it. I mean, like what people don't realize is my first year of doing mobile home parks, we underwrit probably 20 or 30 under 20 unit mobile home parks, 25, 20 units. We could not sell a single one of those. These were like prime locations in Florida, like good cash flow. It just it was just like a local trade-off to a local investor, right? And then all these hedge funds, not the hedge funds, but like these bigger guys started like, hey, I like the cash flowing asset. I like this, and started becoming a little bit bigger and bigger. But that's why those 20 units and under, it's hard because if you typically aren't, if your management fee for one of 20 units is much greater than one of 85 units, one of 100 units, right? Because you basically have a semi full-time person that works the park, right? But they're getting free rent. So your 20 unit park is actually 19 units because again, if you bought a park in Florida and it's 20 units, I don't think you're flying down every day to cut the grass or maintain, like collecting rent and being like, hey man, you owe me rent. Like, you need eyes on the ground. I mean, you got to make sure that there's someone's like kind of a nosy Karen and making sure the park, because they live there, right? And
It's
most
almost
people
like why outsourcing private or property management for single families doesn't work. Most of the time, you need to have multiple units or multifamily for it to make sense.
Yes, exactly. And then the cost of that person eats into your profit, right? So you got to think like each of these properties are making on a tenant owned properties anywhere between $200 to $450 typically, right? There are other places in like California that are like $700-800, but those are not real, right? Then you have park owned properties that are basically around $500 to like $1,000 because you're paying for you're paying for the trailer and then you're paying the rent on top of that. So when you look at the cash flow standpoint of a park owned property, same 20 units, right? Tenant owned properties maybe are $350 a month, right? Because you're just renting the pad. And then you have a park owned property which is making, let's say, $900 or $1,000. It seems like you're making double the money on a park owned property, but the thing is, your expenses on that park owned property are 40%, at least minimum 40%. Like I don't underwrite deals not at 40%. So if you bought me 10 units or 20 units in Florida, older park, right? Let's say it's in the 70s, 80s, right? Just at that cutoff, right? I would underwrite those 20 units basically. Let's say 20 units times $1,000. 20 units times $1,000 a month, right? Times that by 0.6 is expenses, right? And let's just say it's 100% occupied. You're making $12,000 a month. Times that by 12. Divide that by, let's say, 7.5 cap, which is where I typically try to buy that. That park is roughly around a $1.9 million park at a 7.5. But right now, people are like, oh, I want that same amount of money to be. It's usually like people in Florida right now are asking to trade at a 4.5 cap, and I'll show you what the difference in price that becomes, right? So let's just say 20 units times that by $1,000 times that by.
Are y'all hearing the gems this guy is dropping? My guy John is giving a mobile home park masterclass.
Divided by 0.05, right? Let's say 0.05. So the asking price for that same mobile home park right now with sellers is like $2.8 million, almost $1 million more. and we have to buy it at a $1.9 million. That's why there's such a stalemate with mobile home parks right now, because it's like because of the price of money going up or how cheap money was, like people were just throwing out astronomical figures, and it was crazy.
No, 100%. Bro, I think one thing, like, you're obviously a freaking expert and genius when it comes to mobile home parks. And I think one thing is, what'd you say?
I said I appreciate that. My underwriting is, I feel like my underwriting is on point. Like when I look at something, I'm just like, it's decent, but I still have yet to own one. That's next year. The one that we were trying to buy in North Carolina or New Orleans this year, just the price wasn't right. We couldn't make it work.
You're getting there, bro. It'll happen. Time just hasn't caught up yet. But I feel like one of the things that you've been communicating this whole time, guys, is there's a lot of similarities between, like, yes, you need to understand the process and the game. That's why John is saying, hey, hit up single family, do smaller stuff first. Don't just, or even one mobile home, don't just attack a whole park first. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the concepts apply across all of these, for sure. And I think Dylan asked a pretty good question that kind of relates to this. He said, which do you guys think is a more important skill set for wholesalers? Wholesalers, you could wholesale apartment buildings, single families, mobile home parks like John.
Which do you think is most important skill set for new comping, underwriting, or sales?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Comping, underwriting.
That is a good question.
I would say it depends on the person, right? If you're a nerd, introvert, like you like numbers, underwriting is going to be your best thing. If you like talking to people, I like talking to people. I don't feel like I'm the best closer, but I can do enough where I can drive the conversation, right? If I wasn't, then I wouldn't be able to close like the deals that I'm doing. But again, I'm not doing it like, I don't need to do it at such a 90% hit ratio or 80% hit ratio. I just need to do enough what I'm doing. And then comping single family homes is a little different than mobile home parks, because mobile home parks is based on cap rate, right? Maybe the going cap rate in that area, but honestly, I haven't really looked at, because when we get mobile home park leads, it's a little different because they're one in that area that we're talking to, right? We have a list of the entire country, but wherever the dialer calls is where our park is. So comping to me, you guys also where you're going to, because comping in Baltimore is much different than comping in North Carolina. The principles are the same. Don't get me wrong. Don't pass major highways. Don't do this. But then comping in Baltimore is block by block. Literally within 2 blocks of a zip code, you can be like, okay, war zone, not war zone, safety, not safety. Like it's just it's insane. But I would say that's it. It's a tough question because it's based on what you want to be good at, right? I would say if those are your 4 options, pick one and always be networking no matter what you're doing. If you're comping, then be like, who do I know comps really well? Take a little bit, because comping is a little bit of art and science, right? This art part is, okay, you can compare 4x3, 4x3, 2,000 square foot, 2,000 square foot, right? That's the science part. Okay, 2-story house, 1-story house, 1 acre, 1 acre. That's the science part. Mm-hmm. The art part is finding out those comps and making sure those comps can easily be translatable within a 1 mile radius or half a mile radius or within a block radius. Can you justify, like, can I show you, oh, hey, this on Main Street and then this next to Main Street are both similar? Can I show you, what do you call it? Put enough out there for you to be like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good comp. Oh, that looks pretty good. I would consider that a comp. Like, can I put enough of a rebuttal for you to say that idea is valid, right? So comping is a little bit of art and a little bit of science, and you get better as you look into a specific area. Underwriting is all about numbers. It's just strictly a numbers game. How conservative do you want to be? How aggressive do you want to be? Even like our Miami project, we present our idea super, super conservative. I mean, I think the going rate in Miami, North Miami right now for our Airbnb hotel is $280 or something a night, right? And on our pitch deck, we have it showing for 175. We're $100 less than the average current hotel rate in that area, and our numbers still make sense.
Nice.
So
That's fair.
when people are like, okay, why are you so conservative? Because we're like, we would rather be undervalued than, oh, we're gonna charge $1,000 a night. This is what's gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, you're insane. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So under promising and over delivering is probably and being conservative in your numbers is always going to be better. And then
Bro,
sales, sales is sales. It's just some people are good and natural are willing to learn it. I mean, you and Daryl are crushing the sales conversation. So I can't speak on that. Sales is just an entire beast that you're going to have to learn. And if you want to learn it, you can. There's so much talent out there that you can. I mean, there's so much knowledge out there. So the different ways to do it. Like, I don't know. There's pick one, learn their style, and then and then pick another, learn their style, and then you become confident in what you do because you're going through rebuttal after rebuttal. Like if I said to you, if I was like, hey man, I have a pre-foreclosure lead, seller's being a kind of a person, she's like, you'd be like, sweet, let me talk to her. You would know how to, because of your experience over the last 2 years, you know how to like kind of diffuse that situation. So sales is something that you just slowly have to learn. Like you jump head first and you're going to get a bunch of FUs, you're going to a bunch of hang ups on, you're going to be like, who do you think you are? Like, why are, you're going to just learn and sharpen your skills.
Yes.
Exactly. That's a problem because people think like, oh, I would need to have a perfect conversation. But no, you need to have 100 imperfect conversations to get to that perfect conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a follow-up lead. Actually, I had hit this week. No, not this week. About a week and a half ago. So it's been 2 weeks because it's right before I went to Dallas. Or was it after Dallas? Whatever. And I went through our follow-ups. I went through our CRM. I was like, hey guys, we're gonna have to call these people. And with my team, I just called them like on the phone with my team on YouTube, on Zoom. We're just like, let me just call this. And he basically reamed me out. I was like, hey man, I know we talked about 6 months ago. You're asking some, crazy number. I had it. It was like 2.4 mil. And I was just like, and he only was at 50% occupancy. And I'm like, where's the justification of this? He's like, oh, when it's fully rocking, this is that. I was like, yeah, but if you're do this, like you're stuck in a wheel. Like you want this. Banks aren't going to look at this number and give you that number because of the past history. Like your park is going to be based off your history, not just this imaginary number. It's not like your park is like on the water doing this. It's based off of the oil fields. So you have to adjust for that. And he was like, no, this is my number, blah, blah. You're just going to lowball me. I was like, no, what if I can come to your straight price? I love that line. I was like, what if I can come to your asking price? He's like, you can't do that. It's not going to work. I was like, look, why don't you tell me? Give me a chance. And then I said, you're probably in this. I mean, okay, the park is in Texas. It's near the oil fields. I'm just gonna put it out there. Okay, this is the type of guy that I'm dealing with. So I basically was like, hey man, like I know you're probably in this age range. How are you planning on retiring? And that just I think a light bulb just hit. I was like, why don't you just transition out and just carry the paper? And he goes, what do you mean? And then I went that whole terms part and resurrected an old lead, which is pretty funny. But you never know where sales is going to take you, right? So that portion, the reason why I'm saying that is because sales is like, it's just you just have to have that conversation, right? Like you can't be scared of it.
Yeah, no, 100%, bro. You just dropped hella gems right there. I hope y'all were taking notes for real. John was just dropping some game, man. Yo, Dylan, this is a great freaking question, bro. Just to add into what John was saying, man, like I think a lot of people forget about the conveyor belt, which is an essential component to all of this, whatever you're wholesaling, right? First part of it is marketing and lead generation. That's literally the heart and soul of your business, right? The next part is acquisitions, contracts, getting it locked up. After that, you got to sell a deal, dispose of it, right? You got to sell it to yourself or someone else. And then you got to coordinate the transaction, especially with these $1 million deals this guy is doing. You got to make sure your transaction coordinating is on point. So which one is most important for you to learn? I think it's important to understand all of these, but I think what John said is super key. Like if you're not good at it or it's not your strong suit, you need to partner up with or learn from someone who is an expert at that thing, because all four of these things are literally essential components of the conveyor belt, right? When a lead comes in or a motivated seller, you have to comp it to understand what it's worth. If it's a more creative type of deal, you got to be able to understand how to underwrite it or push it to someone who can. And then sales, come on, man, this is a sales and marketing business. So someone's got to be an expert at that. So I think all of these are very important skills to understand, learn. I think you can partner up with people who are good at those things. Like you can have someone in your business who's really good at sales, or you can have a partner who's really good at underwriting so that you can focus on marketing and dispositions or whatever your strong suit is. So
Absolutely.
good stuff.
Sorry, I'm just trying to log into my thing so I can talk to people here. Okay.
Yo, look at this. Look what Alan's doing.
I know, right? How are you planning on retiring? Thanks, man. I mean, again, I've ran into this conversation. So right now, the boomer generation that have owned these mobile home parks, right? The 50 to 65, 70-year-old people, that's the standard avatar that I've been running into. And it's not to say that they, cash heavy, right? Like books are a little bit of a mess. They're just, packeting cash. Like, and it's okay. And I'm not against it. It's just, again, when you have a benefit of just taking cash and you don't want Uncle Sam to, there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it, right? If you just book cash and when you go to sell and you don't have the paperwork to prove it, you're not going to get the money that you want from it. You're not going to get the full value. And at the same time, because of the way that technology has been able to be a driving force in that, the bookkeeping aspect of it has become so much easier. Like there's Rendermeter, there's a bunch of programs out there that Buildium, like there's just so many things that out there that can make your business more valuable because you can produce that tax record, that book of business saying, hey, my park makes X, and that I think is going to be the generational switch between our generation, the people that are coming up, the 21-year-old, 18, 20-year-olds, all the way to 46-ish right now, 40s, like, the 90s and the millennial generation, the Gen X people, like that are coming up right now. When they run their quote business, there's so much information out there now through YouTube and everything that's going to make it so that they can do the books to the point and legally avoid taxes the best way possible so that Uncle Sam gets the least and you make the most benefit, right? That's like the hardest part about it because it's a tax code. It's not tax law, it's tax code. Figuring out that tax code, getting an accountant, getting a bookkeeper and all that kind of stuff is the hardest part of how to run the mobile home park business. Because again, you get the benefit of cash, right? You can write off. I mean, yes, Uncle Sam's not paying anything, but at the same time, I've seen this so many times where they're like, "Oh, I have this much cash." I'm like, "Okay, so prove it." They're like, "Well, I don't want to talk about it." Or
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, then, how can I prove to the incumbent investor, right? I mean, it happens so many times, and it's just like, that's not how I want to be able to run my future parks. I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can legally to make sure that I take down it properly so that I'm paying the least amount of taxes legally. Because you're just kicking the can down the road. Eventually, you're gonna have to pay the tax. So if you don't pay the tax now, then guess what? When you go to sell, you're basically SOL.
Bro, this comes down again to tracking. Like this is low key like the second or third time you mentioned this. Guys, not only tracking like, oh, how many offers, how many calls, how many underwriting did I do? Like tracking how much money you're making. What is the profit split? What are my expenses? so that you can then go to your accountant. Hey, can you depreciate this? Hey, this here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I
And
get
I
my
don't even know
27.5 up front? Like all of that stuff.
exactly. And I don't even know all the details to it because again, I haven't owned a parking, but I own a house, right? I own multiple houses across the nation right now. So it's like I understand that, and this is the thing, right? When you go from a wholesaler and say, "Oh yeah, I'm an investor," to like actually owning property and knowing the pain in the ass it is to own the property,
Bro.
like, and the payments and the bills and the mortgage and da 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 and
Dude,
insurance.
oh my
Oh my
God.
God, it's such a headache. Like,
We got our first two this year, like, because we've been wholesaling for a while.
yep.
Finally got our first two using private money, partnership, like a ton of stuff, guys, for real. And one of the most obvious, well, not obvious, but one of the most, I guess, textbook and interesting situations, right? This house in Cleveland we own, this duplex, right next to the college me and Emeka went to. Bro, so the city comes by, they're like, hey, your water main's leaking. It's been leaking for like a week. And because our contractor hadn't been by there. And so that was like a random $4,000 expense. And then we had to replace the line too. And it's just like you don't see that stuff coming.
No,
Like we could
no.
run our numbers, add in the cushion and all of that, but
Yep.
sometimes like stuff like that just comes out of nowhere, I can't imagine with a mobile home park. That would be insane.
Dude, so our biggest dilemma is always the way that like buyers and sellers value what their value is on valuation is. So there's a wide range of buyers, right? Obviously, buyers are looking for the best deal, right? They're trying to like make sure the numbers. And then there's people that are on the selling side. As a wholesaler, there's you know basically there's what you call a retrade, right? You basically say, hey, seller says, hey, I want to sell my park at $2 million. We add, either 3% or 150,000 or 200,000, whatever the number is, right? Let's just say 100,000. So it's $2 million, and then we put 1 million, $100,000 on it, right? And then we sell it to 1.2.
Mhm.
And then the buyer says, okay, great, at 1.2 I'll buy it. And then they'll do their due diligence, so like they'll come up with inspections, a phase one, a survey, all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they'll say, oh well, your expenses aren't right, so we can only value this park at $1.8 million. I've had deals blow up like that, like all the time in the last 2 years. And then the buyer's like, no, I can only pay 1.8, and the seller's like, go kick rocks. Right? It's like, what the hell, right? And then the relationship gets bad, and then you try to save the relationship, and you go find somebody else. Like, there's a lot of like in between stuff that's during negotiation, during the due diligence period, that it's blown up a lot of deals.
Man, it's about pushing through, right? To make sure you get them done and connecting with the right people to understand it, right?
Yep.
Would you say it's a who not how sort of thing? A
Yeah,
numbers
I mean, we've established. I feel like we have a good relationship with the Pennsylvania park that I posted up just 3 weeks ago.
mm-hmm.
We have a cash buyer. That was like, hey man, like we've been trying to get a deal done for the last 2 years. Like, you know, I'm in Pennsylvania. Let's do this. He was like, we're like, we don't want to retrade. We're priced accordingly. You're signing this as there's no retrade, and basically let's do this because you can close. And he's like, I can close in 45 days. Awesome. Last time that happened, we almost got burned. So we're like, look, there's no retrade. There's like, this is what it is. You can't come back and say, I think that's what we're gonna start doing. But this was a very specific situation. But yeah, I mean, we've done enough this past 2 years, 2.5 years, where our wholesaling abilities, the way that we operate our business is up there. Is we feel like it's on the up and up, and we've partnered with a couple people that are really like the way that we do business.
I love it, bro.
So
I love it, bro. Yo, this has been a crazy value session, dog. I got like just one more question for you. Just I
dude,
think like
all day. What's up?
I love you, dog. Yo, who are your who, right? So everyone has like a board of advisors, right? It could be some famous people, maybe some people you're connected to, but are there like 3 to 5 who's like your who that the audience could go check out on YouTube or listen to some of their content, read some of their books that really made a big impact in your business, and their words, their guidelines, their principles are something you consistently guide yourself and your business by? You have a
Sure.
couple of people that you could drop on us, bro?
Obviously we have Pace, right? Pace is, Pace is Pace. It's like we wouldn't be friends or doing business together. We wouldn't know each other without him, right? So
Yeah.
Pace Morby is probably very impactful to my life in ways that I can't even explain. Like listening to, like, because I heard him, like, so back to, like, kind of go back to the whole story. So when I was doing the Sean Terry's program, Brandon Sims, because they're both out of Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
Brandon invited me to the Go Givers Mastermind for a year. And this is right
Dope.
before COVID started. So he was like, I'll give you access to the Go Givers Mastermind. Let's do this. Let's keep energy going. The week right around COVID started, like, I think Pace was coming back from Philly with Jamil, and I saw Pace uh flew out because Brandon basically told me, he was like, hey, I'm what do you call Pace and Jamil are speaking at the Go Givers Mastermind. He's like, you're more than welcome to come. And me and another guy basically got there to got access to the mastermind. And that's where I actually saw, like, Brent Daniels and Steve Trang. Like, I was like, holy crap, these are guys that I watch and I've been listening to, like, be there. And Pace was talking there with Jamil, and I think the guy out of Atlanta, Flip King, or Flip, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but it's Flip something in out of Atlanta. And they basically showed, like, like, kind of did a creative financing, like this and that. And after that mastermind, I was like, whatever program you decide to put out, just tell me when it is. And this was like right around March, like February, March, where he's like, oh, there's something going to be coming down the pipeline. And then, like, I think when I came out in February, he started this thing in March, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely in this. And then I joined in June. So it was like, Pace is definitely one of them. Somebody that I follow right now is Alex Hermosi. His content is just, the way that he positions things is just very, very, like, my brain doesn't work like that. Just
Bro,
listening to.
one of the favorite things he says is the old man concept, right? Imagine yourself as an 80-year-old man looking back at your current right now.
Uh-huh.
All of your problems would seem so much smaller. You're gonna literally, the old 80-year-old man you would laugh at, us. Oh, I remember when this mobile home park sellers were acting like assholes. Now I own 50 of these.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that from him. That's
Yeah.
fire.
I mean, so I think him. I love how systematic Steve Trang was on the way that he delivers his version of the Sandler method. I follow. There's just, I mean, I follow, like, go to my Instagram and just see who I follow. So that's literally it. Anybody that's going to give me some type of inspiration, I take on for everybody, obviously. And then there's a couple local guys that I follow in Maryland that have kind of, like, pushed me along of, like, hey, these are the ways that I do it. So it's a lot. I can't say enough how grateful that the community that Pace has been able, because again, this entire year, all Airbnbs, even some of the mobile home park deals that I'm was potentially buying, or all this everything was because of the creative financing group.
Bro, I
So
love that.
that alone should show how much value. I mean, we both know already, like, it's over and beyond.
Yeah. If y'all are still asking yourself, how do you do something? Stop it, like right now. Don't
Yeah.
ever ask yourself that question again. Ask who you need to connect with to achieve that thing, man.
Yeah.
Who, not
I mean,
how it's.
the other day, Pace, we were, and he's like, you can't make $1 without networking with somebody. Like, you're
So
not going to make $1 without, like, you cannot make any money without that. And that kind of really resonated with me. I'm like, man, like, I need to go out and reach more people. Like, I need to go out and talk, because you know how we've been doing this whole elephant challenge with, like reaching out to agents and doing that.
mhm.
Um, I was like, God, I gotta go reach out and help more agents. Like if I can show them this part and just provide value and have this conversation, then it would make a world of a difference in what type of value I can bring to them, and how investor friendly and people, we can be, you know what I mean? Or they can
Yeah.
be. You know?
Heck yeah, bro.
So
I love that, man. Nah, guys, that's why I wanted to, kind of get that one in, because it's so important. Like that's a theme that we talked about throughout today, guys, and it's a theme for like unboxing anything in real estate. Just figure out who are the people you need to connect with to get where you need to go next. Who are the people doing what you want to do, and who do you connect with on their team so you can learn that, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I love it, bro. Yo, bro, thank you so much for coming on here. How can people like reach out to you, contact you, send you deals, do deals with you?
I got a bunch of emails, but I'll just start with right now. The easiest way to contact me is just on Instagram, and just John Lynn Buys Homes, right? John Lynn Buys Homes. I think, yeah, that's how it's spelled. Yeah,
Yeah,
full
I'm
name.
pretty sure.
I'll type it out so that it's easy for.
Yeah, I think I can make it a quick little band too. There we go.
There you go. That's the IG. That's the what is it? Chest disconnected while you reconnect successfully.
There you guys go. Follow my guy, John Lim Buys Homes. That's it, right?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, bro. Thank you so much for tapping in with us, bro. Gotta have you on here again.
Absolutely.
Let's get it. First
I like
episode.
I like to show, like, if we can do like next time, if we do like an actual underwrite of like how I look at things, so you can kind of post that up. Are we? Do you have like a whiteboard, something that we can write on right now, or?
You know what, bro? I think that
We
would be a really good second episode. I don't know how to do that in here now, but I can definitely figure it out and make sure it's right.
This is the first of many. We'll just start a mini series, like just underwriting. Like we can just go like kind of basics of what like some of the older parts that I've looked at, and just kind of go through some of the numbers of like where these numbers have to be, so
Oh
that
yeah.
people kind of see like, okay, this is how I would have to underwrite the deal to make sure that the deal makes sense. Because I've had deals sent to me, and I'm just like, the numbers don't make sense. Like you
Yeah.
can't just add a fee on top without knowing where that fee is coming from, because ultimately it's like I've never seen a deal with a deal just a fee on top, unless you were the direct to seller. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because I've talked to a lot of GP partners, and they basically, like, if anybody puts like a percentage fee on top, I just don't even bother looking at it. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? He's like, that person or wholesaler, without knowing anything, tries to make more than the broker by adding that 3%.
Interesting.
I'm sure
See, guys, where else would you find that out?
I'm sure you've seen a lot of deals that come across one way or another. Like, everyone has seen a deal that says, okay, this is a deal, so, and plus 3% or plus, and I've received deals like that, and I've sent out deals like that, and it's just like, and I've talked to GP partners that basically are like, we don't even look at some of these things, because it's just like the math doesn't work even with that. So
Listen, guys, watch out for stuff like that. This is why you need to find your who, the people who are experts at this, the people that are doing these deals. So if you want to do mobile home park invest, anything like that, hit my guy John up so that you don't get ignored by the GPs. All right, family.
cool.
Real estate unboxed. You're gonna be back with another one with John, bro. I'm definitely taking you up on that. I'm gonna bring some of the bad deals I sent you so that you can tell everyone why.
Yeah, dude, they weren't. No, the thing is, they weren't bad deals. Don't even start like, they weren't bad deals. They were just smaller deals that I know I don't have buyers for. Like I told you straight, I'm like, look, buy it at this, market it. I told you where to market. Don't put me on.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
Wait a second, dude. Don't put me on blast like that. I told you why I couldn't buy it. I told you, wait, this is the number. If I was a buyer, where you would have to be buying it, and who I would market that deal to if you got it under contract for this price. Okay, let's be fair.
You did. I'm messing with you, bro. I'm messing with you, bro. No, but I'm gonna send you this 120 unit, bro, so we can look at that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. I mean, I think that's gonna be a good way to finish it off, and then we can come back next week or whatever. And if you have another live, just do another live. Just I'll be happy to how and then we can underwrite it. That's the biggest thing. I think if we can underwrite a deal for people and leave it on so that people can kind of see how. Okay, I want to preface this to see how a basic deal underwriting is, so that when they receive something, they can correctly dissect the right parts to see if it's even a deal or if they're wasting their time.
Yep.
Right. Because if you don't know what the pieces of underwriting are, then you're going to be like, all right, what the hell? Like, I don't even know if this is a deal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing. If you can find out if this is actually a deal, and if it checks off a few boxes, then you can be like, hey, let's send this to John. Makes sense?
I'm down, bro. Let's definitely, we can make that happen next weekend, bro.
I
Or
love
sometime this week. Shoot, let's make it happen, bro.
Absolutely. Yes. We can jump on Wednesday or something like that if you want, depending on your schedule.
Heck, bro, I'll tap in, my guy.
Awesome,
brother. I appreciate you for having me or jumping on, bro. Yo, y'all go ahead and follow my guy John, please.
I appreciate you, Olu. I watch you from a distance, and I know you're crushing it. So, we have each other's phone numbers. So,
absolutely, bro.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you, bro. Peace.
See you. Bye.